Welcome to the Wizarding Wireless Network podcast with me, AJ.
And me, Will.
Together we will be once again bringing you our no-holds-barred thoughts, opinions and detailed analysis on all things Wizarding World. So with that in mind, grab yourself a glass of fire whiskey and please settle into this cosy week's episode of the WWN.
Welcome to the Wizarding Wireless Network with your hosts AJ and Will, streaming to you on all of your favourite podcast providers and on YouTube. On today's Folio Universitas episode, we will be talking about all things Quidditch.
I don't know if we can cover all things Quidditch because it is a rather meaty sport, shall we say, but we will give you a brief overview, a brief gist, but in its essence, Quidditch, it's easy enough to understand. Each team has 7 players. 3 chasers, 2 beaters, 1 keeper, and a seeker.
That's you.
There are 3 kinds of balls. This one's called the quaffle. Now the chasers handle the quaffle and try to put it through one of those 3 hoops. The keeper, that's me, defends the hoops. With me so far?
I think so.
What are those?
So, yes, thank you, AJ. So, obviously, that is a general gist of Quidditch. Thank you very much for listening and take care.
Bye!
So, let's have a look at kind of like the history then of where did Quidditch actually come from and actually how did we get to the Quidditch that we all know from the Harry Potter films. So whilst Quidditch was one of the first and so far only broomstick-based games that we know of within the Wizarding world, and certainly amongst the popularity of the Wizarding world, it's not necessarily the first broomstick game because Quidditch was a game that's been slowly evolving and adapting to what we know of the game today. Essentially, the history of Quidditch, it first came through from and got its name from the first place that it was ever recorded to be played, which was Quidditch Marsh.
Lovely.
This was a game developed by a witch called Gertie Keedle, who lived on the edge of a marsh, Quidditch Marsh, around 1050, and was first recorded that she had noted a number of people playing a game with a ball whilst flying their broomsticks. And when the ball then landed in her cabbage patch, she confiscated it and then hexed the man who then asked for it back. She then had another entry which showed that the players didn't give up at that point. Oh no, they were very persistent. They had made themselves a new ball and they were trying to score goals by throwing it through trees at the end of each marsh. This was then the earliest incantation of the quaffle. Historical records of this time being then rather limited noted that the mention of Quidditch until 100 years later, so we're going quite a fair jump into the future. So we're now at 1150, where Goodwin Keene and his Norwegian cousin Olaf, of course it's always Olaf,
Yoo-hoo!
Survived from this time and gave a clear indication of how far the game had come. It was then gained its name and was spelt Quidditch with a K rather than a Q-U. And a number of organised teams, as well as titles for players and equipment. So we now know chasers were known as catchers, and the bludger began life as the bludder.
Nice.
So interesting evolution.
Indeed.
So obviously we're now missing one of the main balls, which is the golden snitch. So the golden snitch actually started life off as, for those who don't know, a small bird.
Tweet, tweet.
Now, AJ, do you know what the bird was called?
A snidget.
It was a little snidget. So the game played prior to Quidditch. So Quidditch had been evolving over in Norway with 2 kinds of balls, the bludder and the quaffle. Whereas over in somewhere else. So over in the UK, they had been playing a sport of snidget hunting. So they would try and catch the snidget, which would then have the winner from catching it 150 galleons.
Money.
Exactly, get money, honey.
Mm.
So this was done because the snidget was a very small, very fast, very nimble creature and could change directions at very high speeds, and was very adverse to having erratic flying patterns. So this is what then made snidget hunting so popular in the first place. So then what we found was that both games came together to combine both kind of rules, laws, and equipment. So a witch then named Modesty Rabnot, who was also watching a game of snidget hunting, rescued it with a summoning charm before rushing away with it inside her robes. This saved the life of the bird, but the connection with Quidditch had then been made, and soon a snidget was being released at every game. From then, each team had an extra player, so originally called the Hunter, which was then later adapted in, as we know now, as the Seeker, whose sole job was to catch and kill the snidget.
Seems that it just seems very violent to kill this poor endangered species.
Exactly. I mean, why is it done wrong?
Hee-haw. Hee-haw means nothing in Scottish. Just saying.
Oh, thank you for that bit of education, AJ.
You're welcome.
Constantly learning.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I don't really understand like the purpose of it. It's kind of like I think the closest thing obviously to our history is fox hunting.
Uh-huh.
And even then I don't really get I've never understood blood sport.
I haven't either, to be fair. And it just baffles me. It genuinely does. Like, I don't really understand hunting as a game. Like, no. I mean, don't get me wrong. By no means am I saying that I'm a vegan or a vegetarian or what have you. But I just don't understand the need for killing livestock for pleasure.
There's a difference between farming and
hunting.
Hunting.
Yeah. It's like I don't really see the enjoyment of crouching in a bush and shooting a beautiful stag and then cutting its head off and putting it on the wall.
Yeah, exactly. Having it as a trophy.
Yeah. But yeah, fox hunting as well. I still do not understand that whole situation. Plus, foxes are beautiful.
Noisy, but beautiful.
Mm-hmm. I also, and wait a minute, just while I check this, I am pretty sure that's my Patronus.
Is it? I'm trying to remember from the last episode. It is.
It is. Saying that was after I redid it because the first one I got was a salmon and I was not here for that.
I am making up for your salmon mistake.
Right. Do you know what? If Nymphadora Tonks can change her Patronus based on her current emotional state, then I am not having a little wet salmon floating out of my wand whenever I need it in the case of a Dementor attack. Can you just imagine that? Expecto Patronum! Like, I mean, no, just no. No.
I mean, Magikarp is like the perfect Pokemon. I mean, you're literally on par with Magikarp.
Yeah, not for me. That's not for me. I don't mind not having the most flashiest of Patronuses. I've never had such a strong affiliation with salmon. Now and again, I'll have a bit of John West on a sandwich. But that is pretty much it. But yeah, who can say if I did that quiz now what might my Patronus be? Would it still be the fox?
Or would it be a hound?
Oh, who could say? Is that why pubs are called the Fox and Hound?
Yeah. From fox
Shut
hunting.
up. No way. Oh, the more you know. Revelations. Oh, I love this. Anyway, but yeah, never really understood the whole blood sport type thing. I am very glad that the noble sport of Quidditch has moved away from its snidget hunting days and onto the golden covered ball of a golden snitch.
Exactly. We are not the only ones who thought that killing Snidgets was horrendous. So a metal charmer called Bowman Wright, who, funny enough, also lived in Godric's Hollow, had a different idea and invented a fake Snidget called the Golden Snitch.
I'm just going to stop you there just for 2 seconds. Let's just circle back to that opening statement you said there, Mr. Speaker. He also lived in Godric's Hollow.
He did.
Who does not live in Godric's Hollow in this series? Who doesn't? And why has it taken 7 years for the main character to get to that village?
Honestly, like, this must be the largest bloody village possible because everyone lives there.
I know, it's like, all right, all the family died, right? Heartbreaking times. Harry gets taken away from Godric's Hollow. Cut till he's 17 at Bill and Fleur's wedding. Then Elphias Dodge. Oh, they lived in Godric's Hollow. And then this other great... Is it Great Aunt Muriel, the old drunk woman?
Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah. She was like, oh, I thought that would be well worth a trip to Godric's Hollow. Oh, right, so is it just like a cast day out to Godric's Hollow? Everybody and their granny lived in Godric's Hollow. With the exception of Professor Snape. But saying that, right, now please do correct me if I'm wrong, because this is where I'm just going to go off on a tangent now, right? So just bear with us. Bear with me here. Where did Snape live? Is Spinner's End where he lived, or is...
No, so Spinner's End, I think, is just like his kind of little hiding house, because obviously this is like what he said with Bellatrix, like touching the stuff on the mantelpiece, like don't touch what isn't ours. So this is someone else's house.
Spinner's End. I am Googling. Spinner's End.
Because obviously Lillian James had the place in Godric's Hollow.
Oh, right. Do you know what it is? So, Spinner's End is the street in which Professor Snape lived, like his childhood home. But it was in a town called Cokeworth, and Cokeworth is in the Midlands. I just love the fact that Professor Snape could be very well a Brummie.
Could you imagine, actually, if they got locale, like, dialects?
Could you imagine? I can teach you how to bewitch the mind and ensnare the senses. Although I don't think that's Brummie.
No, that's more Newcastle.
Or Liverpool, I would say. Just imagine Alison Hammond and Professor Snape going to school together. I can see it. Imagine Professor Snape and Alison Hammond presenting a magical edition of Bake Off. And instead of cakes, it's potions they need to make. Oh, I can see it now.
Oh, Christ.
What we calling it? Oh. Names on a postcard for this magical TV show.
Yes, please.
Also, I know we did say that I was going to go off on a tangent, but how did we end up getting from Quidditch to Bake Off? Godric's Hollow. This woman lived in who didn't live in bloody Godric's Hollow.
But how did they meet as children outside of Hogwarts if he lived up in Midlands?
But is Lily from Godric's Hollow?
I thought this is what you were looking up.
No, it was where Snape was from.
Where's Lily from?
Right, I've now clicked onto an Etsy link instead of the Wikipedia page, and now all I'm getting is Lily Potter merch on Etsy.
Ah, there we go. So she is from Cokeworth herself.
Ah!
So she is from Cokeworth Midlands.
Which means Aunt Petunia's from the Midlands.
Could you imagine like the whole cast recasted but actually with like regional dialects?
Alison Hammond is going to be Aunt Petunia, isn't she?
Oh my God, can you imagine?
No, I wouldn't give her Aunt Petunia because see the thing is, I don't think with Alison Hammond, right, she's so lovable and she's so likeable. I think if you were to put her into some form of villain role...
Aunt March?
Absolutely not. But saying that, No!
Oh, you could totally have a bit of fun with that. Oh, come on.
Oh, you could have done. I would love to see Alison Hammond as like a Hogwarts teacher.
Professor Pince.
Madam Pince. Right, hold on, wait a minute. Right, now I'm kind of getting into this. So, right, Alison Hammond is a Hogwarts professor. Who's she going to be?
Well, I mean, if that's anything to go by.
Oh, 100%.
Like,
Dark arts for Voldemort and for Valor.
Or astronomy.
Yes, absolutely. Professor Onai, hang up your wig, bitch.
The sassiest astronomy teacher.
Who teaches astronomy in Harry's year? Is it Sinistra?
Yes, I think so.
I feel like...
She's either that or numeracy.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. I feel like Professor Onai has just overshadowed...
Oh, everyone.
Sinistra, yeah. I will go as far as I have got such a soft spot for that woman. I absolutely love her in Hogwarts Legacy so much.
Literally, I wish she was more of like a main character. Like, you only see her for like such a short time. She's so good.
Yeah. Hold on. Right now, I'm like totally deep diving now into this Wikipedia page. So is it Sinistra?
Yeah, so Professor Aura Sinistra was a witch who taught in the astronomy department at Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry.
So who taught arithmancy?
It's the woman with the black pointed hat who looks like someone out of The Worst Witch.
Oh, Little Miss Hardbroom vibes.
Yeah.
Professor Vector! In the nicest possible way, bugger teaching arithmancy.
I mean, who takes that?
But what even is it? Like, is it just maths? Like, I don't... It's the discipline that is the properties of numbers, including predicting the future with numerology.
Yeah, so you know the film where all of the bad things happen and it's got Nicolas Cage in and it's got all that sheet of numbers where they circle all of them.
Oh, Knowing.
Yeah, so it's basically that.
That's a great movie. Bit of a Debbie Downer at the end, but I must admit, it gets very weird very quickly. But yeah. I like the build-up.
It is a good film. I've only actually seen it like twice, though.
Yeah, I think I've only seen it twice.
Usually when it's been on TV.
I'm sure I remember, I think I watched it years ago. Years and years and years ago. Like, it was one of those like 4 a.m. movies because you couldn't sleep. And then I was like, right, it's now like 6 a.m. and I'm like just about halfway through this, but I'm so engrossed in it, I can't not. It's like between that and 2012. Do you remember that?
Oh my God, yes.
What a movie. I remember...
Or Day After Tomorrow.
Oh, don't even talk to me about that. That is a fabulous movie. That is one of my favourites. Is Jake Gyllenhaal in that?
Yeah.
Who else is in it? Dennis Quaid. Emmy Rossum. Have you ever seen Deep Impact?
Is that the one with Elijah Wood in?
Yes.
The one where the meteor hits and they go up to the high ground. Yes, I have.
That is one of my favourite movies.
Again, I think I've only seen it like all the way through once. But it's such a good film.
It is such a good movie. Morgan Freeman in it as the president. Goosebumps every time. Every time. Used to watch that with my mum.
Oh.
I know. Don't worry, she's not dead.
No, I know she's not. Jeez.
Oh. Yeah. Yeah. What a movie. What a movie that was.
It's such like, I think it's the only film that I know Elijah Wood to be in that's not Lord of the Rings.
Now, here is another little thing for your bank. He is in another movie by the name of, which I can't remember, but Ian McKellen is in it. I think it's called The Oxford Murders. I'm sure Elijah Wood didn't.
So, it's not Ian McKellen though.
Who is it?
John Hurt.
Oh!
So Ollivander.
Ollivander and Frodo. Is it Frodo?
Yeah. It is. Elijah Wood.
Yeah. That was a good movie. The Oxford Murder. Well, from what I was saying, that it can't really have been that good if I thought Ian McKellen was in it. But then again, I don't know if I was just getting that confused with the Da Vinci Code because it got very similar towards the end.
Yeah, so Ian McKellen definitely in the Da Vinci Code.
Yeah. Another fabulous movie.
Saying that, the Oxford Murder, no doubt it would be a good movie because the book adaptation.
Was it a book adaptation? I did not know that. Wait a minute. So you can tell I don't have my my glasses on because I'm properly squinting.
So the Oxford Murders is a book by Guillermo Martinez.
It only gets 17% on Rotten Tomatoes, and if I'm being honest, I feel like that is not justified. Saying that, you should see the amount of books that I have probably bought in about the past month, and it's all... There is all a theme, and it's all Christmas-related murder mystery.
Oh my God.
Went into Waterstones, and I was like, oh, I'll take that one, and I'll take that one. And I was like, okay, that's fine. And then this other author that I read one of her books not that long ago, and that one got released yesterday, so I bought that, and it arrived yesterday. I forgot I pre-ordered it. I say I forgot. And I ordered another book and picked that up as well. So I think in the past, not in the past, in the space of 10 days, I have bought 5 murder mystery Christmas books.
Well, I know if the police are looking for you from a murder mystery
At Christmas.
I'll just read those books, then I know how to find the clues.
I know. Anywho, right, back to Quidditch.
Back to Quidditch. So, yes, so that Bowman Wright, as we know, lived in Godric's Hollow. He then made this fake Snidget called the Golden Snitch, which was then to replace the Snidget and was approved and is now what is used in modern day. So yes, that is your kind of very quick, brief summary, mash-up history of Quidditch.
Lovely.
So obviously with the game now established, and we've talked about it being played in different countries and how it all kind of got amalgamated. Now, with all good sports, there has to be a World Cup.
Yes. Now, according to the official guide to the Quidditch World Cup, produced by the International Confederation of Wizards Quidditch Committee, also known as the ICWQC, and available through all reputable wizarding bookstores for what many feel is a ridiculous overpriced sum of 39 galleons. Anyway, so the tournament had been established every 4 years since its inception in 1473. Now, there are several matches that have been documented throughout history. Obviously, it does come with its numerous faults. For example, like the Statute of Secrecy. So a real watershed moment for the Quidditch World Cup was the implementation of the International Statute of Secrecy in 1692, which was intended to conceal the existence of magic, wizards, witches alike. Now, the ICW, the International Confederation of Wizards, saw the Quidditch World Cup as a security risk of the highest magnitude because of obvious reasons.
Clearly, I mean, you've got thousands of witches and wizards all piling into one venue. It's a huge stadium.
Yeah. Absolutely. So they had essentially said that following mass protests and threats to the International Confederation of Wizards, it was agreed that the tournament could continue and a regulatory body, the ICWQC, was set up to locate suitable venues, normally remote moors. For example, in 1994, we had the Quidditch World Cup take place in Dartmoor. Now, talking of which, in 1994 is the Quidditch World Cup that we all know and... Oh, are you going to say love? I don't really know. Would we say love? 422nd Quidditch World Cup took place in 1994 in Dartmoor, England. Between who, William?
It was Bulgaria and Ireland.
Lovely. Now, who won?
Obviously Bulgaria.
Did they?
No, it was Ireland.
Victor Crumb caught the snitch.
Yes, but they were... the Irish were so far ahead that actually even catching the snitch, it ended the game, but they didn't have enough points to beat Ireland. Yeah,
that's right. So essentially, the on-pitch action was very much overshadowed by the events that did follow this match, which we will touch on very shortly. However, a spectacular snitch capture by the young seeker what was I going to say? Vulcan?
I think you were trying to say Vulcan, but like Bulgarian bonbon or something.
I was. That's what I was trying to say. Anyway. Oh, Lord of mercy. Anyway, so a spectacular snitch capture by the none other Bulgarian bonbon seeker Victor Crump was enough to salvage the Bulgarian dignity, but not to secure a win. So, in short, Ireland won the Quidditch World Cup with 170 points. Bulgaria caught the snitch, but finished in second place, or lost the match, with 160 points.
Now, I have a bit of a contention with you saying it was in Dartmoor. Is it, or is it not, just me, who, when
it's
you
the
look...
Cliffs of Dover.
It's the bloody Cliffs of Dover, isn't it?
Yeah. But do you know what, Will? There are a hell of a lot more things in this series that we can just let this pass by.
Not me.
Not me.
No, I'm joking.
No, I absolutely get that. It does say that it did take place in Dartmoor, England, obviously. However, during the post-match celebrations of Ireland's triumph, there was an outbreak of unprecedented violence as supporters of Lord Voldemort attacked fellow wizards and captured and tortured local muggles. This was a scene that I am going to say I don't think they did very well in the books, because we will touch up not in the books, in the movies, we will touch upon this section in the chapter when we do come to it. But specifically that scene, it made the Death Eaters in my eyes even more terrifying, because whenever you've seen them torturing the muggles and the whole Imperious Curse on, you know, Winky the house elf, etc, 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 that for me didn't really translate as well over into the movie. The movie scene itself was phenomenal. I absolutely agree. I agree that I love that. I adore it. But I just think they had so much more scope with that to really sort of vamp up how horrific the Death Eaters were.
It was just a little march through. I mean, like everyone's panicking and running. There's like 6 Death Eaters marching, setting things on fire. I mean, it's not exactly mind-blowing magic.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I agree. Like the translation to film. But
yeah,
we'll come on to that when we talk about the chapter.
Yeah, we certainly will. But obviously, when this Quidditch World Cup did take place, there was the first sighting of the dark mark in the sky, which caused widespread alarm and resulted in many injuries amongst the crowd. Now, the ICWQC censored the Ministry of Magic heavily after the event, judging that the security arrangements had been exceptionally inadequate, given the existence of a violent pure-blood tendency in the United Kingdom. Now, Royston Idlewind emerged briefly from his retirement to give the following statement to the Daily Prophet. A wand band doesn't look so stupid now, does it? Who is Royston Idlewind, or Idlewind? Okay, so Royston Idlewind was a former Quidditch player in the 1960s, the star chaser of the Australian team. In 1971, he was appointed International Director of the International Confederation of Wizards Quidditch Committee, but later resigned after the draconian regulations regarding crowd control he imposed were flouted en masse by the spectators of the final of the Quidditch World Cup in 1974.
Shortly after the final of the 1994 Quidditch World Cup, he re-emerged briefly to give a statement to the Daily Prophet about how the latest goings-on proved him right about how wands should be confiscated during international Quidditch matches.
Good luck with that.
His quote being, "A wand ban doesn't look so stupid now, does it?"
Nor. But saying that, it's that whole ideology is kind of given very like... I don't know why, like the first thing I'm kind of getting is like the American gun control.
Yeah, like gun ban.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, I was getting those kind of vibes from it.
Getting big vibes. So anyway, as it stands at the moment, when we come on to the Quidditch World Cup, post the Second Wizarding War, we then went on to the 1998 Quidditch World Cup, 2002, 2006, 2010, and the last recorded Quidditch World Cup that we have is in 2014. Now, they are saying that the 16 competing countries were at the time Brazil, Bulgaria, Chad, Fiji, Germany, Haiti, Ivory Coast, Jamaica, etc, etc, etc. England did not place, neither did Scotland. However, Wales did.
Oh, well done, Wales.
I know, well done, Wales. Now, what they have since said, I have had a look here on the Pottermore website, they have said that opening games will take place next month in the Patagonian desert. So I don't know if they're still playing, that one opening game because it's not been updated in a while.
It's just still ongoing.
It's still ongoing. It's a very, very long opening game.
It's just constant draws.
Absolutely. But so as it stands at the moment, there are several incidences of what has happened here at the Quidditch World Cup throughout the years. We could literally spend a whole episode going on over and over and over that, but we are very limited for time in terms of podcast episodes. However, we have covered the origin of the game. We have covered the highlights of the game in the form of the Quidditch World Cup. But what is the one thing that we are missing from this equation? We are talking about the things that you sit on to fly and play. We are, of course, talking about broomsticks. Well, I have two beautiful broomsticks here.
Yes, we are in fact talking about broomsticks. So, records showed that witches and wizards in Europe were using brooms as early as 900 AD. So it dates all the way back, way before the first use of them in Quidditch.
Love that.
However, as the years progressed, we then get within the 19th century, broomsticks becoming vast and varying qualities, including a cushioning charm, which then greatly enhanced the quality and comfort of the ride, because looking at them, they are not the most comforting things to fly on, especially for boys.
No, except Mad Eye Moody.
Oh, his one is lush.
Oh, lush. He has got like
the Harley Davidson of broomsticks.
He basically has. I wonder what happened to it after he died. Do you think it's still flying?
Probably. It's still just up there, just somewhere.
I know. I wonder, like saying that, if a wizard falls off the broom, does the broom just keep going or does the broom fall with them?
I think the broom falls with them, because if you think about Harry's one that flew into the Whomping Willow, it kind of probably doesn't just drop out of the air, it probably kind of like floats down.
Yeah.
I don't know. Question for Madam Hooch.
Indeed. Get her on next week.
So, yeah, with the cushioning charm. And actually, this is quite interesting, obviously, looking at then the broomsticks in terms of the history of them. But actually, then when we look at the films of how they did the broomsticks, because all the actors were then really uncomfortable sitting on them for really long periods of time, do you know what they actually did?
I'm going to say they put a care plan in place. 2 hourly position turns. I honestly dread to think. What did they do?
So they actually mounted bicycle seats on top of the broomsticks for them to sit on.
Ah!
So when you see them sitting on the broomstick, they're not actually on the broom itself, they're on the bicycle seat.
And is it like a vanishing charm?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a magical green screen.
Oh, I literally thought you meant in real life. Like in the Wizarding World life.
Oh, no.
I was like...
No, IRL in movie life. No, in the Wizarding World, they did a cushioning charm, but we have no such things.
Fair enough.
With the modern day broomsticks, eventually you then had some household names for the broomsticks. So the one that we all know and have all come to love, which is the Nimbus 2000. So Harry's very first broomstick. Now, this is not the only broomstick that was ever made, obviously. There were plenty before it and plenty after it. So the Nimbus 2000 is one of several different versions of the Nimbus series, including the Nimbus 2001. You then had broomsticks like the Clean Sweep, which is then one of Ron's brooms.
Mm-hmm.
You have the Comet, the Firebolt, the Moon Trimmer, the Shooting Star, Siberian Arrow, Silver Arrow, Swift Stick, Thunderbolt, Tinderblast, the Turbo Triple X, the Twigger, and the Oak Shaft 79.
I'm not going to lie. Did you say Turbo Blast? That sounds like it should come from Ann Summers.
Well, it's technically the Turbo Triple X, so I mean that even more so. So yeah, there's quite a lot in terms of variety of broomsticks. Now, they all have cushioning charms on, but they all went through broomsticks had various spells cast onto them to help riding and flying. So obviously we have the cushioning charm placed on them, but as we know from Hogwarts Legacy, there are multiple different charms and spells that you can put on broomsticks to make them more fast, more agile, and more comforting when riding. So obviously we've got different abilities, and each broomstick had its own different qualities, which made them so unique to each player. But obviously, as we know, broomsticks are not the only piece of equipment used in Quidditch, are they, AJ?
No, they are not. So in Quidditch, we have got broomsticks, we have got balls, we have got hoops, and we have got clubs. So let's start with the clubs. Clubs are carried by the 2 beaters on each team. Each team has 2 beaters, and their job is to deflect the bludgers, I will have you, bludgers away from their players and onto the opposing team. Bludgers, as far as we are aware, can only be handled... sorry, not bludgers. Clubs, as far as we are aware, can only be handled by...
The beaters?
The beaters, that's the very one. You also have 6 goal hoops on either side of the Quidditch stadium. You have 3 on each side, whereby the players try to score points by throwing the quaffle through one of those 3 hoops. However...
Now, can you get a point by getting the bludger to go through the hoop?
That I actually don't know, because I don't think we've ever seen it.
Because this is quite interesting, because obviously when Harry hits the bludger and it goes through the statue, obviously this doesn't happen in the books, but happens in the film. Wood makes a comment that he would make quite a fair beater. Now, is that because he managed to get it through the arch? Or... Because I don't really understand, like... Can you get points from that?
Apparently not.
Okay. So bludgers are purely there just to kind of cause damage.
Yep, they are there purely as a disruptive force.
Right, gotcha.
And I know from real life Quidditch, or quad ball as it's called now, bludgers do not score points. They are purely there just to batter the other players. Yeah.
Just like knocking you over the head.
Yeah, essentially. But with a very hard dodgeball. It's not the one. So we have got the hoops. Next up, we also have the balls. Now, let's talk about your balls. So we have got 2 bludgers, which we have already discussed. They are purely there as a disruptive force in order to knock players off their brooms, deflect away from the opposite team, etc., etc. We have got the quaffle, which is the main ball, I would say, in Quidditch, which is used to score points. The quaffle is handled by the chasers, and the chasers then attempt to score points by throwing it through one of the hoops. And then we come on to the golden snitch. Will has gave us a very good comprehensive history on the golden snitch. Now, I don't know why I thought the golden snitch would have been a lot heavier than what it actually is.
Why? How heavy is it?
Well, I don't know. I just had in my mind that it was going to be like quite a relatively solid golden ball. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then when you
pure metal, isn't it?
Oh yeah, but then you need to put the resurrection stone inside it, so it's hollow. Yeah, I don't know why. I just assumed it was going to be a lot heavier than what it actually is. But with that being said, so the golden snitch has been known to have a flesh memory, which we will cover in about 7 seasons down the line. More on that in 7 years. But so that is pretty much all the equipment that you need to play a game of Quidditch. That and a stadium. And a referee. Interestingly enough, though, it doesn't necessarily have to be the flying teacher to referee the game.
Does it not?
Well, remember Professor Snape refereed a game?
Did he?
He did.
Which game was that?
I think it was to protect Harry and the Philosopher's Stone. Oh, I did. Severus Snape was the surprise referee in the late afternoon match between Gryffindor and Hufflepuff in February of 1992.
Okay, so the game that was cancelled in the movie.
Yes. No, that would have been at the end of Philosopher's Stone.
Okay, yes. So, yes, it would have been.
Yeah. So, yeah, there we go. So, Professor Snape is the surprise referee.
Oh, so we've yet to come on to that in the books.
Yes.
So yes, we have got our equipment ready, but we mentioned a few of the teams that were in the Quidditch World Cup. Now, obviously, there are numerous teams that are involved in Quidditch. And they are dotted all over the world, but most notably Scotland, England, Ireland, Wales. There are quite a few in Canada and the US, and then a few kind of dotted all over kind of Europe into Japan. So just to name a few, the most notable ones that we obviously know of are the Chudley Cannons, Ron's favourite team. The Holyhead Harpies, who are actually a Welsh team.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, did Ginny Weasley then go and play for them?
She did.
And who did Gwenog Jones play for?
The Holyhead Harpies.
Oh, check me in my Quidditch knowledge.
There you go. See, you know more than you think. So you then have Puddlemere United, which is another English team. You have the Montrose Magpies, which is a Scottish team.
Sure is.
The Wimborne Wasps. The Stonewall Stormers from Canada.
Hey.
I'm not even going to pronounce that one.
Which one? Let me consult the book.
The Vrasta Vultures. Vrasta. Bulgarian team.
Where?
VRATSA Vultures.
Is this a UK team?
No, Bulgarian.
Oh, it's not in the book then.
You have the Bougainville, the Bougainville Bombers from Luxembourg, and the Heidelberg Harriers. I like that name. That's a really good name.
That's a good name.
Rolls off the tongue too. And then finally, you have the Bantry Bangers.
Nice.
So they are another Scottish team.
Love that.
So there's just kind of like a few, but actually there's so many different ones across all countries. And we only ever really hear of like a handful of teams. Obviously the ones notable from the books. But within that, we obviously then have your inter-house teams, which is your 4 Hogwarts houses. Now, no doubt you will have the house teams of every other magical school.
Probably.
Now, why is there not inter-school Quidditch matches?
Well, I suppose in the UK you've only got one, haven't you?
Yeah, but it'd be multiple schools. Like with the Triwizard Tournament, why is there not Quidditch, like under, like, you know how you've got the...
I am curious about, this is just me going off on a tangent now, I am curious about the Triwizard Tournament. Like, for example, why did Ilvermorny not participate? And, like, Wagadoo, why was it the 3 schools?
I don't actually know. I don't know whether it's always been those 3 schools.
Anyway, I shall have a look.
Something to do some research on when we talk about it, because no doubt we will come to do a bit about the Triwizard Tournament in a later episode.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, obviously we don't want to go too much into this because we could absolutely talk about Quidditch for hours. We could go into the rules, the fouls, the tactics. There's just so much to cover. And obviously we've only got so much time that we can talk for.
I know, literally. But saying that is a very brief, and I do mean that brief overview of Quidditch. Now, we could sit here and we could recite X amount of facts from the Quidditch throughout the ages and the remainder of the Wizarding World internet page. But yeah, so that is a very brief overview of Quidditch. No doubt throughout the remainder of the series, we will come back and revisit it in certain aspects. So please let us know what you would like us to talk about a little bit more.
Yes, please
when it comes
do.
to Quidditch. Do you want to talk about all things brooms, all things balls, all things holes? No, not holes. Hoops. Enough. But yeah, please let us know what you want us to talk about when it comes to Quidditch.
Yes, please do let us know either in the comments below or over on Instagram. But that is all of the information that we can talk about this week. But as always, thank you guys so much for tuning into this week's episode. Now, next week, we will be talking about, well, actually, AJ, are we going to be talking about next week?
Nothing. We are going to be taking a little Christmas break. When are we coming back, Will?
So we'll be coming back, I think it's going to be the week of the 8th of January.
Oh, wow, quite a while away.
Yes, so we're going to be having a lovely Christmas break and enjoying the Christmas season. And obviously we'll be coming back to you guys in the new year.
I'm coming back for you, baby.
We will be coming back and kicking things off with the chapter Mirror of Erised.
Which chapter is that?
That is chapter 12.
Are you sure?
It is, because I got it in front of me.
Well done.
I'm so proud. So yes, so we'll be coming back to you after Christmas with the next chapter. So thank you guys so much for listening, as always. And in the meantime, please check us over on Instagram and check out our videos over on YouTube, where you can find all of our episodes in video format. So without further ado, we'll be signing off for Christmas.
Once again, a very Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year, and cherry bubbles.
Kindest regards.
Bye.